Happy Monday vibes. Um, I just want to come and speak a little bit about something that's on my mind. As it regards to religion, I know this is a topic that um, that I speak about a lot on my channel, right? But it's a very important topic because I see religion causing a lot of problems in the world. And the problems that religion is causing is these people is riding in two lanes. Like, which lane are you going to ride in, bruh? So, the problems that I see that religion is causing is due to the ignorance of the understanding of the religion itself. And, it really stems from people. Every religion has an agenda. I don't like that angle. Every religion has an agenda. Religions is created with an agenda. People was believing that these books fall from the sky. God created it and dropped it out the heavens, onto the receiver of the message. And, people got to understand that it's deeper meanings. It's deeper meanings involved in anything that you read inside of a holy book. All right. So, once you become aware of the reality of these religions, it becomes hard, to just sit back and watch what's going on, because what I see is, especially as it pertains to the black community, okay? There's a great deal of people suffering because they're not getting the correct knowledge, they're not getting the correct information, especially in these days and times. They're not getting the correct knowledge, they're not getting the correct information. You got to understand that these religions was created with an agenda, all right? Every religion has its inception in the ancient past. But the ancient past and the natural, more nature aspect of religions of the ancient past, it was hidden inside of a new languages, new words, new terminologies, and just plain out covered up and turned into something different besides those few that know. And so, people are suffering because they have a lack of knowledge and they're not getting the true wisdom and the true understanding, of these books and of these writings. And so people suffer, and which really is not cool. So, Christianity, Jesus, the Savior, has its inception in Osiris and Horus. Okay? The mythology of Jesus has its inception in Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And the historical Jesus has its inception on a really wise wisdom holder and a magician. who was persecuted for having wisdom of the ancient past. Okay? And the stories has been braided together. You see? And to really understand Christianity, you have to go all the way back to its earliest inception, which goes back to early Roman, Greek, or what they call the Hellenistic time period. When you read the works of the Corpus Hermeticum or Hermetica, all right, and all of these early Greek philosophers, you are getting into the early stages of Christianity. Because you got to understand that the storehouse of information that was stored, what they call the Library of Alexandria. Well, when Alexander came in, what part of Egypt did he rule? I forgot what part of Egypt that Alexander took hold in. I forgot what part. But he got himself, he got himself, a piece of Egypt. I forget what city it was, but he got himself a piece of Egypt. And when he did that, he collected a lot of information. And that's when that information started to get translated and started to get stolen and started to get plagiarized. And this is where you get your religion. This is where you get your Christianity. Now, don't get this misconstrued. This is not an atheist talk. This is not an atheist channel. All right? But what bothers me is that people don't see. People go to church and people hear about God. People hear about God, right? And God is going to do this. And God got you like this. And God's saving you like this. But what is God? Who is God? Where is God? What is the nature of God? So it's very obvious that through the suppression of knowledge and information, whether y'all know it or not, knowledge have been suppressed, information has been suppressed. Through the suppression of this knowledge and information, people have been dumbed down spiritually, very much. And God, the concept of God has just been dumbed down to a mundane word. And the greatest experience or imagery, well, I wouldn't say imagery because God is too vast to have an image in the mind of a human being, but the only glimpse or the only reality of God was given to you in the form of a man, which was his only begotten son, Jesus Christ, who he sent to the earthly realm for all humanity. But in the ancient past, the nature of God was understood. And that's simply the nature of the universe. So this is what you're getting into when you get into Kabbalah. Kabbalah is showing you the nature of the creator. You know, showing you the nature of the creator. And you can't forget that Kabbalah is Gnostic. It's rooted in Gnostic. And see, it's so many lies. It's so many lies as it pertains to religion. And religion, these religions is upheld because, let me tell you why these religions is upheld. These religions, part of these religions is to change the ancient past. These religions, it's lies in these books. Okay? But that's kind of not fair to say, because that was kind of wrong on my part to say. They're only lies. This stuff in these books is only lies if you are taking it literally. So if you're taking it literally, then yeah, it's lies. But, you know, these works was never supposed to be taken literally, except outside of the Quran. I think the Quran, you know, my personal belief on the Quran was that it was written to be taken literal. And I believe that the writers of the Quran, you know, they had experience in these religions, and they sought to make a correction of the religion, and that correction of that religion, and that, because before it was Islam, it was just Judaism. You know, it was just Judaism, and then you got the New Testament starting to form and come about. And so once this started to happen, then you got the break off and the beginning of Islam, you know. So you got the New Testament. I mean, you got the New Testament coming about, but you got to understand that, you know, these books, they build over time. So yeah, the New Testament, you got the New Testament, you know, you got books of the New Testament dating back, you know, almost 1,000 years before the inception of the Quran, but it wasn't what it is today. You know, it's not widespread, it's not everywhere, it's not, you know, you can't think of it in terms how it is today. So a lot of these works and schools of thought, you know, it just depends on where you was. Depending on where you was would depend on what type of information you would be available to, you know, to get. So, so the Quran, they thought, you know, they was making a correction from the problems that they seen that was going on in the Christian world. All right. So if you really, really look at it, you know, these are a group of people just breaking away from the religion, you know, breaking away from their religion and modifying it to make it more suitable for themselves, and just changing the things that benefits them and what they saw and think was right. You know, so as a group of people to do that for themselves, you know, you can't really knock them. But of course, so now you become enemies of the other religion. And these religions, it's amazing. These people are still fighting over the same shit to this day. You know, and it's all over lies. These people are fighting. People are losing lives. I'm talking about, all of this is going on over some shit that's not even true. Not one bit. You know, the lies is so rooted, and the lies is rooted so deeply that when you go and try to do some actual historical research, you can still find biblical references as to historical research. This is how deep the lies is. It's only from maybe the past 50 being generous, maybe the 100 years, but the past 50 years that the biblical, where history started to go outside of the biblical narrative. And I'll give you an example. When you talk about the origin of a certain group of people, and you try to find the origin of this group of people, you will still get taken back to a biblical narrative. But you got to understand, the biblical narrative is not an actual historical record. It's not an accurate historical record. Like, you talking about a group of people coming from a certain biblical character who came from a certain man. Like, come on now. A nation didn't come from one person. It don't work like that. Like, come on. So you got to understand how fucked we actually have been. But it isn't till you actually wake up. I remember when I was reading the Bible one time, and this is after I was getting the information to be able to think correctly. Because I didn't come up with this thought process on my own. I'm not going to lie to you. But I always had a mystical sense about myself. But it wasn't until, I came across, certain works and certain individuals saying certain things that lit the fire, for me to get on the path. And I remember I was reading the Bible one time, and I was in the book of Genesis, and inside the book of Genesis, it talked about how, I believe it was the children of Adam and Eve, once they left outside of the garden, it was people. It was, they ran into other people. And I'm like, if these were supposed to be the first people on the planet, how in the world did they run into other people? And so that was the first contradiction that I found in the Bible. But at that time, I had no knowledge about esoteric information. So I say all of that to say this. Truly, and a lot of y'all, it may be hard for y'all to really understand this, and a lot of y'all is lost, really lost. And this is powerful, how this stuff can be used in this way. It's so powerful, how this is just plaguing humanity. But the Bible truly was never meant to be taken literally. It was never meant to be taken literally. Now, it was made to be taken literally by some oppressors that came later on, but early works were not literal works. Because, see, the early works go back to Gnosticism. Because you got to understand that all of the religion stems from mythology. See, when you was in the ancient world, these stories, it was a mythos, and the mythos described universal principles, described the nature of the universe. All right, it described, the nature of reality, but it wasn't an actual literal historical event, but it was describing the nature of the universe. So all of this information was extracted from mythologies describing the nature of the universe. So now you got these stories that's rooted in the mythos describing the nature of the universe, but now they're wrote in a way as an actual human experience story. But hidden, and in all actuality, is describing the nature of the universe. So this actual code names, it gets really deep. It's coded. It's very esoteric. And people just don't have the information because they don't have the spiritual insight. Now, if you look at these works correctly, you are opening a storehouse of infinite information. And so this is where I begin to have conflict with those that only tell one aspect of the historical information of the Bible. They just tell you, this came from this and that was that and that's a slave. We know all of that, but they don't tell you the other side. They don't want to tell you how it can truly be used and the true essence of it. All right. And I probably got a lot more that I want to say, so I'm going to shut this down because I got to go. But peace, you know what I'm saying? I hope y'all enjoy these videos that I be bringing. I know, I haven't been really consistent on bringing the information, but, I got to feel it. And, it got to feel right. It is what it is. But, if you like the video, thumbs up the video, share the video, feel free to leave a comment, and peace.